Hello, welcome back to another December daily process video. This video is a lot of pages in one because this is my catch up, finishing up the rest of my December when I got back from holidays. So I have sped this up super fast because I did, how many pages did I do? Maybe five pages? Maybe four? I don't know how many I did, but I did a lot of pages. Well, not a lot, but I did more than one page, so it felt like a lot. And I was actually filming for maybe an hour and a half, so this has been cut down and sped up. So I hope that you will enjoy this video, but I thought that I would film the catch up because I know that I mustn't be the only person that's still catching up on their December daily. And I thought it might be fun to kind of do it together a little bit, so sharing my process with you guys. And all I'm doing here is just gathering all my pictures that I printed and cutting them down. I did print a lot of my pictures as 3x4 size or smaller, so just cutting them down into the separate days because I do have a pretty good memory of which photos were from which day. And where I left off was day 21, so this was actually the day that we left to go and visit our family. I was actually planning on taking my supplies and my notebook with me and doing it while we were away, but it just didn't happen. I ended up leaving everything at home, and I'm kind of glad that I did, to be honest, because so much happened while we were away that it wouldn't have worked out for me anyway, and it would have just been a whole extra bunch of stuff to bring with me. So catching up actually didn't take me that long. Like I said, this took me probably an hour and a half to complete. I think I did up to Christmas. So after that, I won't be doing the rest of December. I'll just be documenting a couple of other little things from the rest of the month without even dating, but just putting those stories in there. So anyway, back to page 21 or day 21. I'm just kind of playing around with where things are going to sit on the page. So my little date tag and my photo. I only have a little small photo of, it's actually a picture of my husband changing a tyre on the boat trailer because while we were driving on the highway, our wheel came off our boat trailer, which could have been extremely bad, but thankfully it wasn't. So I just documented that. It was really bad actually. It was really scary, but thankfully no one was hurt. Nothing happened because of it. Thank goodness. But that's the story that I'm telling. So just putting down my date stamp on the front of this. This page actually folds open up ways, so you'll see that in a minute, but I didn't really have a whole bunch to write on this day, so I just decided to use that entire front decorative bit just to put the date because, as I said, I just didn't really have much to put for this day. So now I'm just kind of working out how I'm going to build up on the white page inside and just decorate it a little bit. So using little scraps of paper, and so that card that I'm using is actually a card from the Reject Shop, which is pretty cool, and I thought that it was pretty fitting to use because it says ho ho home for the holidays. So I just stuck that down the bottom, and now I'm just dressing up the rest of that blank white page. I'm just building up on it, trying to make it look a little bit prettier. So for these catch-up pages, I really didn't go crazy with fold-outs or photos or anything like that. I just used what I had and did it as quickly as I could. I didn't spend too much time per page either because catching up, I don't know, it's just not as fun as doing it daily for me anyway. And I just wanted to get it done. I just wanted to get my stories down as quickly as possible. I still wanted it to look cohesive to the rest of the book because I did put a bit more effort into the rest of the book, and I feel like it does. Another huge reason why I didn't go crazy with those last pages was because the rest of the book was already way too bulky. So what I'm doing here as well, I just want to mention this, is just trimming down that flap because it was, as I was saying, the book's so bulky that it wasn't opening and closing as I would have liked it to. So I just trimmed it down a little bit. and then added a sticker, and I think after that all I do is add a bit of journaling, and then I go on to the next page. So like I was saying, with these catch-up pages, I really didn't go too crazy with it. I just got the stories down and got the photos down, and that was about it really. I didn't even decorate too much. I may go back and add a couple of decorations when I'm finishing off those last couple of pages, but there's not a whole bunch of room to add things. It's so chunky. So moving on to day 22. This was a day we went shopping in our hometown, so we went shopping with family. It's also a couple of family members' birthdays, so I just wrote a little bit about that on this page. Got a picture down, got a couple of pieces of ephemera that I had. I also actually went to the dentist on this day, so did that as well. It wasn't really a very interesting day or Christmassy day, but just got the stories down anyway. And also it's worth mentioning that piece of paper that you can see up the top with my scribbly writing on it is actually notes that I took down in my phone while I was away, so I just copied it down onto paper to film because I use my phone to film. But all I literally wrote was the date and the weather of that day, and then just wrote a couple of little bullet points each day of what we did, just to jog my memory, so that when I went back and did this, I would be able to write about it really easily and just prompt or jog my memory. So I think that's a good and very important thing to do, actually, if you know that you won't get time to journal exactly when you want to take notes, even if they're just bullet points, because it will really, really help you later if you want to catch up. So here I've just added a picture and added that onto a back of a journaling card and stuck it in with washi tape. And now I'm just going to go ahead and add my weather and day stamp onto that tag, which I do every day. And I think after that I just do my journaling for the day. So this card was also from the Reject Shop, and it says when, where, what, and I just wrote a really basic little description of what we did that day. So as well, when I catch up, I do write it as though I wrote it that particular day, because I've kind of trained myself to take notes mentally when I want to journal something. I remember exactly what I was wanting to write at that time, if that makes sense. I kind of think about it and I remember to put it in later. So I don't know if that makes sense, if I've explained that very well, but I just write it exactly as I would have wrote it if I wrote it that day. And that was that entire day done. I just added a business card from the dentist and moved straight on to day 23. I'm pretty sure this was another uneventful day as well, and just wrote about spending time with our family. It's been a while since we had seen them, so it was really nice. And I have a picture of a kitten which was at my mother-in-law's house. She was so cute. So I stuck those pictures in down the bottom there, and I think the only other thing I really had to document that day was the book that we read, which was How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So as always, adding in my date stamp tag thingy, and just building up the page a little bit to make it look a little bit nice. So just fiddling around with bits and pieces that I have lying around. I often just grab things and hold them to the page and see if they're going to fit together. Things kind of just fit together sometimes, you'd be surprised. So for example, this note paper gives me some lines to journal on it, and it just fits so well onto that page. I flipped it upside down so that the snowflakes weren't covered by my photo, and just decorate the page up the top there a little bit, and then everything kind of just fit on top of that. And even though the story that I was telling might not have been very interesting, or the pictures might not be that amazing, those little things in the background kind of help pull it all together and make it look like a complete page anyway. So adding on a little bit of washi tape, and then I think all I do is my journaling. So this is another good example of a page that was very quick to do, but I caught up. It's in there, the story's in there, my photos are in there, and it's documented, and that's the main thing. So done, move on to the next page, which was Christmas Eve, so 24th of December. And I'm just grabbing all the bits of ephemera that I had relative to that day and the photos that were relative to that day. So I do have a lot of photos here, and no, not all of them will or do go into my December daily. A lot of them are going into my son's book that I write to him in, and will go in a couple of other little personal journals here and there, whatever's left over. So this was a day that we went looking at Christmas lights. It was Christmas Eve, so very exciting time. My son actually got sick while we were away, and he came down with this really red rash that looked like sunburn, and it just spread over his entire body. We took him to the doctor 3 different times and the hospital 3 different times before they could figure out what it was. I know that skin rashes are very hard to diagnose, so but it was very stressful because we knew that something was wrong. He did actually end up having staphylococcal scalded skin syndrome, which is an infection, a staph infection, which started from school sores. But the problem was that they thought he was having an allergic reaction to the antibiotics he was having for school sores. So it was confusing for everybody that we saw. They couldn't quite figure it out. But he did end up having to be in hospital for a couple of nights while we were away. And a lot of our trip was actually spent caring for him. So it was a little bit stressful, but thankfully he was fine in the end. He got antibiotics through a drip and they fixed him right up. So I just wanted to give that a little bit of backstory because you can see the pictures there of him looking a bit ill. And it started on, I think, a day or two before Christmas Eve. So all the days kind of started to blur together because he was so unwell and his rash was so different every single day. So I do kind of flick through all the pictures and try and work out which pictures were which day and make sure that I tell that story, because it was over a period of a week or so, trying to figure out what was actually happening with him. So that's what all my journaling there is about. All my words are getting jumbled up now. But yeah, so I just wrote a little bit about that and then just stuck in the pictures from the Christmas lights and moved on to Christmas Day. So gathering all my little bits and pieces that I had ready for Christmas Day and going through my pictures and working out which days were from Christmas as well. So as I was saying, my son was very sick on Christmas. He was extremely uncomfortable and in pain, so it wasn't ideal for him anyway. It was pretty sad to see. So I have a strip of pictures of each of my kids. I just trimmed my 4x6 picture down the middle to give me those little photo strips of each child. So there's a picture of my older boy opening his favourite toy, which was Octonauts, and then there's a picture of my younger son who, as I said, was very sick and miserable, and a picture of him opening his present. He got a baby doll because he really wanted a bubba. He picked it up at the shop, so he got a bubba. And just a picture of him not looking very happy at all because the poor little guy was very uncomfortable. But I wanted to document it as well because it was a very eventful Christmas. We actually ended up taking him to hospital on Christmas afternoon because we actually thought it was staphylococcal scalded skin, and we we took him up there thinking that was it, and we asked about it, and they ended up sending us home again, saying no, it's just an allergy. Take him off all of his medication, he'll be fine. So we did, and I'm just journaling about Christmas, all our family that we saw. I didn't actually take a lot of photos either. Only in the morning I remembered to. The rest of the day was spent caring for Ren, and we did have Christmas lunch and stuff as well, but I just didn't think to take any pictures of that. So adding little bits and pieces, I'm using my stapler to add a lot of things in as well, and just a couple of pockets and flip outs. So I included the book that we read. And now I'm just going through and trying to work out which picture I should include that documents how his skin was looking by Christmas, which was pretty bad by that point. The pictures don't even really do justice, but yeah. I wanted to include that, to document that in there as well, so I just trimmed it in half. I wanted to make sure that I leave enough of those hospital photos for his own personal book, his little insert that I write to him in, because it's all about him, so I think it's more interesting for him to read as well when he's older. So a lot of those photos will go into his notebook, and just did a quick little journal card about Christmas Day and going to the hospital and visiting my nana in hospital because she broke her arm. So we went and visited her, and yeah, just summed it up pretty quickly on a tiny little journal card, because I know that I'm going to write a lot more about that story in my son's notebook. So I think after this, I don't do anything else. I think I just decide to leave my remaining photos to finish up a couple of those stories on the remaining pages. So that's all for this video. I will be back with a flip through of the finished book, so those last bits and pieces that have to go into it. I hope you guys enjoyed this little catch-up video, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye.